Day one of New York Comic Con is in the books, and Nerd Initiative has all the news you need to know. This is Ken M and Rich live from New York City, bringing you a special edition of TaP, New York Comic Con Day 1 Recap.
Powered by Fantasyverse. Welcome to Turn a Page, the official comic book club for Nerd Initiative. Each week, the NI Bullpen will be covering the world of comics, talking to creators, deep diving into some fantastic stories, and much more. Now let's hand it over to the team and turn a page.
Welcome to the Nerd Initiative Turn a Page recap of New York Comic Con Day 1. I'm your host, Ken M. You know me as the host of the OD Page podcast, along with being the editor-in-chief here at nerdinitiative.com. To my right, your left at home, he's the head of NI Wrestling, but he's also a featured member of our comics team. Please give a warm welcome to Rich.
Yes, Day 1 of New York Comic Con is in the books, and I am tired. This is probably the most tired Day 1 of New York Comic Con that I've ever had. That is not necessarily a bad thing, ladies and gentlemen. It just means that, oh boy, I can't remember the last time we did this much stuff on Day 1 of the con.
Yeah, this one definitely was rocking from bell to bell, as we say in the wrestling business. A lot of great stuff to go over. And honestly, there was one winner of the day, if we have to crown a champion, and that was DC Comics. They came out swinging early. The return of the DC Vertigo line absolutely made headlines all over the comic world. It was the buzz of New York Comic Con. Really made a big impression. Rich, that was your first time kind of hearing about this line and being in the panel. What was your thoughts on what went down?
I have been to a lot of panels. I have covered a lot of panels. I have never been to a comic panel where they announced, in this case, 10 books. But I've never been to a comic panel where they announced 5 books, where I was like, I want to read/review every single one of these books. This panel, 10 books announced, 10 books that I would completely read. Completely in their entirety read. Vertigo's back in a big bad way.
Yep.
They have great contributors. They're starting off in February, launching 4 books. And those 4 books feature the writings of James Tynion IV, Chris Condon, Kyle Starks, and
Dennis Camp.
a little known guy named Dennis Camp.
Yeah. They really loaded up the deck early, and they were just dropping hit after hit after hit. The biggest creators in the business are going to be on DC Vertigo. There was a big buzz going around too, and then especially there was a question about Black Label, because if you're not familiar, DC Vertigo was I would say the godfather of the modern mature readers line.
The OG.
And, yeah, it spawned so many hits of Preacher, Transmetropolitan. The list goes on and on. Doom Patrol was under that umbrella for a time, and then Sandman was under there for an umbrella. Like, there's been so many hits, like we could really go through the lineage, but let's face it, DC Vertigo is a big deal for a reason, and really allows creators to expand their imaginations and creativity. So hearing about this was a big deal, and then obviously it has been rumored about what's the difference between Black Label and DC Vertigo. Well, we know that DC Black Label is going to be telling those classic superhero character stories in the more mature sense. Like we had The Last Days of Lex Luthor just recently under the DC Black Label banner. Stories like The Dark Knight Returns would fit under that banner. But they decided to drop a bombshell about recommitting or reacting. I'm still blown away by it. That's why I'm messing up when I'm saying they've reactivated the original Swamp Thing series from 1989 that was canceled, and they're jumping right back on the original lettering or numbering, which, I mean, that was a wild scenario. I'm still blown away by that.
Yeah, and not only are they doing that, they're bringing back it ended in a controversial fashion for those historians of it. There was a kind of a crucifixion that was done, and at the time they figured, oh man, that's not good. They shut the whole thing down. But now, not only are they bringing it back, not only are they going to show all of that, but they are also redoing it, like keeping the original pencil drawings, keeping the original writing, but then the artists who are kind of filling in are doing it in the colors that were available at the time and in the style at the time. So like DC with the Black Label in this case is doing this amazing thing, bringing fans, longtime fans, some closure to, let's be honest, something that happened, a long time ago. Like
Yeah.
we're 36 years ago.
Something
But
like
by
that.
the time it hits 37 years ago.
It's a wild scene to play out, but kudos to DC for doing this. And like I say, for them coming back to New York with a booth, like I say, their presentation top to bottom was amazing today. But really coming in with that panel, and they did not listen to any of the guests there, but man, everybody was talking about who was on the panels or who's up there talking. And like I say, there was so much about this. It really set the tone it set the bar for the rest of the weekend, to be honest with you. And we're only on Thursday. We still got 3 more days to go.
I mean, it drew everybody out. I mean, my personal hero, Will Dennis, was actually in the crowd, not on the panel, in the crowd watching. Of course, he was an editor for DC Vertigo back in the day, so it's kind of nice to see that we found out that he's incorporating himself into some of the stories going forward for DC Vertigo. So keep your eyes on that, because Nerd Initiative is going to be bringing you all that. We did start off our day, though, with some pretty big news, too. We got invited by our friends from Crunchyroll to attend this really cool event. They are launching Crunchyroll manga.
Yes.
So they have a whole new website. Well, I shouldn't say website. They have an addition to their website where, for a little bit extra for what you already pay for your Crunchyroll subscription, you can actually get the manga collection of all manga collections. I mean, we were looking through it. We had a little bit there. I think every issue of One Piece is on there. Every issue of My Hero Academia is definitely on there. There was quite a bit of Dragon Ball Z that I saw somewhere in there, because we didn't get to scroll through everything. But listen, you name it, there was there, from the most popular to, of course, some of the more obscure and everything in between. Really cool thing. What did you think about Crunchyroll manga?
Completely impressive. I mean, amazing presentation top to bottom. So shout out to everybody at Crunchyroll. They really wanted to make a statement in the world of anime and manga, and they obviously do. But seeing this app and seeing what they are coming with, if you're a fan of manga, you need to have this app in your collection. You need to make sure you're following what they're doing. And it was very easy to follow. Like, I'm not that well versed in that genre, but this is one I could jump into and really get familiar quick. That's how good this app was looking, and just going through the little test run that they were doing. I'm really excited about this. Can't wait to check this out when I get back home.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm completely in. Gotta check it out. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't read as much manga as the next person. I'm a huge My Hero Academia fan, but I'm gonna self-admit just the anime. I'm gonna go check out some of that manga.
Yeah, I'm checking it out.
It looks amazing. Yeah. But we also got a cool thing for ourselves. It is also comic book related in a big way. Gary V, one of your personal heroes.
Yeah, so if anybody's not familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk, who is the head of Vayner Media, Vayner Sports, Wine Library, like, the man has done it all and is just, a forward-thinking entrepreneur that is just pours out positivity wherever he goes. Has now dabbled into the world of comics, but he's spun it out of what is called V-Friends. And it's over 250 characters he's created. It's his, as he words it, his Pokemon, his Marvel, his universe, and it really reflects a lot of the values that he goes on mentioning, and especially, like, he's building a community here, folks. And this is a real deal. This is not anything that's a flash in the pan. If you know anything about Gary, Gary goes all in and then some. So this movement has been gaining a lot of steam, and if you've been following him on Whatnot, especially, he's kind of made it a lot of emphasizing the collectability of comics, more so, I would say, about a 50-50 split with the content. So at the Javits today, they unveiled their big booth. They put issues 5, 6, and 7 on sale, and they really kicked off in a big way because they were doing a deal with Walmart. So there's an exclusive V-Friends comic that he was doing at the booth. He was doing a signing. It was amazing turnout for that, and got to talk to Gary for a quick second, but obviously, we're big fans of what he's doing. We're going to be following a little more about the V-Friends and teaching everybody about what's going on there, because I really think how he's approaching this. And one thing that was an underlying theme of New York Comic Con thus far is we saw an eBay booth, Walmart was there, Whatnot's there in a big presence. So how we are purchasing comics is now really taking a very swing in the digital aspect, along with promoting about the comic shops, which is something that we were fortunate enough to talk to some of Gary's people about as well, too. So it's a very cool conversation, very cool book to pick up. And if you're not following him on Whatnot, you need to follow V-Friends on Whatnot. Jump in those chats, get involved in that community, because it's really blowing up big, especially after this weekend. I'm going to say right now, I think it's going to be one that's going to be winning over a lot more fans than anybody realizes right now.
By the way, I would also like to point out for anybody that is attending New York Comic Con this weekend, make sure you don't neglect the Walmart booth. Every day, huge signing at 12 p.m. Sorry. Every day at 12 p.m. there is a huge signing. I know that Friday, Todd McFarlane, that's right, the legendary Todd McFarlane will be there signing, as well as on Saturday, Tom King will be there signing. So, and from what we understand, this is not, don't quote us on it, from what we talked to the people at the Walmart booth, what the information that we were given, they're promoting a specific comic, and they will be giving those comics out for free and signed. They did that today with Gary's comic, and you also got a sticker inside the little package, which there will be actually right now, because Future Rich editing this is going to put a picture of what we received today from Gary V at the Walmart setting. So really cool things from Walmart. I know some people have mixed reactions to Walmart, but I got to be honest, their New York Comic Con presence is pretty awesome.
Yeah, they definitely want to make a big splash, and I think that just to kind of echo back on what we were saying about, they are really trying to get into the digital side of things about selling comics and really put on a big presentation. They got heavy hitters to be there for it. So it's not something that's going to go away anytime soon, but we're seeing with the presence of eBay there, we're seeing the presence of whatnot. This is something that comic fans need to pay attention to and really get involved with, to the sense that you understand what's going on with it. Because we are moving in a very fast digital paced world. You don't want to be left behind about what is going on, but also maintaining that obviously we go to the comic shops first. That's something we always preach here at Nerd Initiative, but the digital aspect cannot be ignored.
Absolutely. And speaking of digital aspects, later on in the day, we did get to go to Neon Ichiban's panel. For those of you who don't know, Neon Ichiban is doing a new digital store where you can do things for the first time in a digital store, including resell comics, remark comments.
Yes.
In other words, your digital comic, you can get an autograph on, or even better than that, you can commission art on it, which is super cool when you think about it. And also, you know, there's a trading element to it and everything else. Doing really cool things, obviously still on the ground. It's still a beta, but there's big stuff behind it. We got to kind of check that out a little bit. And it kind of goes hand in hand in what you're saying. There's a bigger market for comics now, not just, personally, we care about the LCS as well.
Absolutely.
However, there's more ways for people to get comics in their hands and for them to hold value, because the biggest knock on digital for the longest time is, well, what do I do after I buy this digital copy? I can only keep it. I can only have it on this digital platform. It just sits there forever. It kind of wasted money. Well, in this case, no, you didn't, because you can resell it, or you can even get autographs and everything on it, which is super, super dope. What was your overall takeaway from the Neon Ichiban panel that we went to see?
It's very interesting that we're seeing that evolution of the digital comic store. But what I think they're doing that's really making them stand out right now is the remarks. And they were doing a live demonstration there and really kind of giving you an insight about what they're presenting, because it is different. It is new. It's something that I think if you're into the collectability of comics, that's something you're really going to want to jump on. The resell option I thought was very interesting, because they said, to paraphrase a bit, if you buy a comic digitally, you don't like it, you're stuck with it, you know, where are you going to do it? If you can try reselling it, you know, you're not going to make all your money back, but at least you can get something back and then flip it for something else. So it's that digital commerce aspect that I really think they're pushing, and I think it's something that you're not seeing anywhere else right now. So they are getting a lot of big names involved. We saw Dark Horses there, DC, Marvel.
They just signed Dynamite, IDW.
Yep.
There's some other ones that they can't mention yet. That if you check the internet, there's rumors about that. But they did confirm that there's 3 more that they have just signed that they can't mention yet.
Right, so be on the lookout for that. But the beta is up right now, so you definitely want to go check that out and really get familiar with it. Because like I say, it's something that we as comic fans need to be aware of, and just something that we're understanding about this. People are consuming content there.
Before we move on, I do want to say that my coolest takeaway, the variants.
Yeah.
They said that the A cover will always be available, and it'll always be available for, you know, the normal price. However, the different variant covers that you can get are only available for 7 days. And then if you want them after that, you have to buy them on the market.
Yeah.
So for the reseller, that is going to help a resale market. That is also going to help a collector's market, in my opinion.
Absolutely. There's a lot of upside to this. So it's another thing that comic fans really need to watch, and New York Comic Con's panel there today really had a lot going on with that.
Yeah, and then we split off because me and Ken usually tag team a lot of things, but we split off earlier in the day before coming back together for Neon Ichiban, and you actually went to Marvel's first big panel of the weekend.
Yeah, Marvel made a lot of big noise at their Spider-Man panel. A lot of high energy by Nick Lowe and company there. Charles Soule, Al Ewing, Stephanie Phillips, Joe Kelly were all there talking about what's going on in the Spider-Verse because Spider-Man and his most venomous friends. So they were dabbling in a lot of what's going on with Amazing Spider-Man right now, which has been amazing. What Joe Kelly and company are doing there is a great refresh. It's a great jumping on point if anybody's not familiar with it. Al Ewing was explaining a little bit about what's going on with Venom, and they're keeping the legacy numbering going on there. Null just came back, so if you know anything about that character, that is a very big deal. Especially there's a I believe they're starting a series with him in the next year. And if you read about Venom 250, there's a lot happening there. Charles Soule was there talking about Eddie Brock Carnage. Stephanie Phillips was mentioning about Spider-Gwen, the all-new Ghost Spider. And actually, they were voting on the band name that she's forming. So if that's going to be the one that is going to be, that's a very cool moment. And very interactive. I really loved what they were doing there. They're also teasing about Death Spiral. Now, that's going to be a very big crossover event that's happening in the Spider-Verse involving Venom and Spider-Man. So it's really something to keep an eye out for. And obviously, with what's been going on between those two books and Eddie Brock Carnage, there is a lot of moving parts there. So you really want to make sure you're watching that. And then the big announcement that they had was, if you've read Venom 250, somebody has imprisoned Null, which is never a good thing. And Queen in Black will be the big Marvel event next summer. So you really want to make sure you're watching that. I really love this panel, though. I thought Marvel came in high energy. Cannot say that enough. And I love the fact that fans, and this is something that Jim Lee started at the Retailer Day. He gave this very impassioned speech about how DC is not doing anything with AI art at all. Not having it. I'm just going to paraphrase. Very eloquent speech he gave. Fans throughout today, every panel I went to that was an open mic, mentioned Jim Lee's speech, and C.B. Sobalski from Marvel jumped up in the paraphrase, we do not support AI art. We will not use it. We've had to turn artists down that have tried giving it to us. We will not work in that avenue. They're saying no to it. And another panel that I went to was the Image Comics Futures of Comics panel. The same question came up there, asking the talent that was there, and everybody was saying absolutely not, and really gave intelligent and thoughtful answers to this. Because obviously the AI question is one that, unfortunately has been looming around comics, but I love the fact that this weekend alone, DC, Marvel, and Image representatives all came out publicly and made a very loud and clear statement to the raves of fans.
Yeah, I think that's a very positive thing. There's a lot of things going down with AI. We know that Blumhouse made a statement earlier in the week where basically Jason Blum said, hey, you better just accept AI because it's the thing. And a lot of people obviously backlash there. And to see the comedy world take that statement, because Jim Lee was quoting off of that, was asked off of that statement from Jason Blum, and to now see that C.B. Sobalski is also saying, no, we're not going there. Image Comics is saying, no, we're not going there. It is really cool in a medium where, let's be honest, the art form between the writers and the artists is, I think, important to have the human element. And I think that we need to keep that going.
1,000%.
And it's nice to see that the three biggest comic producers on the planet are all in agreement. And I think that that's going to make everybody else fall in line. Because when the big three, if you will, I know most of the time we call it big two, but let's be honest, Image deserves to be in that comments as well. So the big three are saying, yeah, we're good. We ain't doing any of that stuff. I think that sends a clear message to comics. Speaking, you mentioned Image. You did go to the Image panel. What happened over there at the Image panel there?
They had a great showcase of the writers and artists there talking about their books. I mean, Dennis Camp was there talking about a Sword of Crisis event. Chris Condon was there talking News from the Fallout, one of your favorite books.
I love that book.
Marjorie Liu was talking about Monstrous. Jeff Lemire was there, Dustin Nugent, and really just kind of explaining the stories that were going on too. I'm escaping. There was one there. It was from the Power Fantasy, Casper Wingards.
Oh, yeah,
I apologize
yeah.
if I messed the name up. I mean, it was a great conversation because Image is doing so much great books right now. Like I in my opinion, I think they're the top publisher going on right now because they're really allowing creators to have some freedom to really expand. And the books that we mentioned there alone are some of the most innovative books on the market. And I think fans are really looking for that, along with the typical superhero stuff. But there's something about picking up a book like A Sword of Crisis Events. We'll just use that for example. There really is nothing like that on the market.
No, absolutely not.
So when you pick that up, you're really getting a true taste of creativity. And it's one that I think fans are relishing because we like to see different things. And this is really challenging on a few levels, but that's what we'd like to see as a reader. We don't want to see the same old stuff. We want to see stuff that really makes us think. And like the books they were talking about there, all excellent titles. Everybody needs to go check out.
As somebody who reviews mostly indies, I love Image Comics and their setup and all of their partnerships. I mean, we'll talk a minute about Ghost Machine, but on top of that, Skybound Entertainment, which we're going to be seeing this weekend as well, and then just the regular run of Image and everything else that they've gone at Tiny Onion, which we'll be talking more about later this weekend as well on some of these recaps. I really feel like Image really is putting the best foot forward, and I'm loving what they're doing. And if you are, and I've said this a million times, but I'll say it again here, if you've fallen out of love with superhero comics, Image and the stuff they're doing in the indies is for you because you're not going to see anything like Assorted Crisis Events. You're not going to see, the list goes on and on. News from the Fallout.
Yeah.
Like, it's a tremendous, you like horror, you're going to love that. You like something different, you're going to love that. And that is what Image is bringing to the table with them and all their partnerships. And I think that's really cool. Well, speaking of independence, while you were off doing that, I went and visited our friends at Mad Cave Studio.
Oh, let's go.
And Mad Cave Studio presented Go Speed Racer Go. That's right. Mad Cave is bringing us Speed Racer. And I've had the pleasure of reviewing Speed Racer and Racer X, and that was what this was about. As the panel consisted of the author of Speed Racer, David Pepos, the author of Racer X, Mark Russell, and then also sitting in the last seat, Mark London, who is authoring a one-shot of Tales from the Speed Racer.
Oh, nice.
And on top of that, of course, he's one of the heads of Mad Cave Studios, and he's such an amazing person. If you are not familiar with Mad Cave Studios, please get familiar with them because they're doing some awesome work over there. We've watched them grow from a small publisher into one that's getting some great IPs and doing some really great original work as well.
They're doing amazing things over there. All their imprints are really having a presence this weekend too. So if you're at New York Comic Con, definitely go check their booth out. They got a lot of great things going on. But like Rich was alluding to, Speed Racer is doing really good things. Everything David Pepos is writing is on point, like no matter where you turn with him. But let alone what they're building over there and their properties like Gotcha Man. That's another great title that's going on right now. The spinoffs have been excellent too. They're really firing on all cylinders, and this is something that I think fans really want to go check out. We're seeing a lot of that. I refer to as nostalgia books.
Yeah, absolutely.
The classic cartoons are coming back in a big way, and seeing what Speed Racer is doing, I mean, it's just right up that alley.
It was announced, obviously, we've kind of known this for a while, but it was officially announced there. Speed Racer is ongoing, so they are not getting rid of Speed Racer anytime soon, which is amazing. David Pepos has a lot of stuff written out. He did make the joke that when he turned in his pitch, it was 17 pages long.
Wow.
If you understand pitches in comics, they're usually not 17 pages long. Plus, on top of that 17 pages, he had a character Bible. Yeah. So that should tell you how prepared David Pepos was for this. Mark Russell is doing Racer X is only a miniseries. They did not give the issue numbers where they're going to finish, but it is considered a miniseries. And Tales from the Speed Racer, which will be debuting at the end of this month, that will be an anthology series where there might be different authors all the time. What they're going to do there is really unique is they are going to kind of tell some backstories and some side stories of other characters in the Speed Racer world to kind of bring you up to speed and kind of give a backstory for some things. So they have some plans in the work. And trust me, if you were a fan of the original anime, the 90s anime, or the movie, Speed Racer is for you. And if you weren't a fan of any of those, Speed Racer is still for you because David Pepos is doing the Lord's work and really kind of just bringing everybody in. So I'm really digging that. If you haven't given it a chance, please do. And that brings me to what else I did. Well, we were separated and we did get permission. I got to talk to one of our publisher friends from the wonderful Ghost Machine. And we did get a little bit of, we got to see some art.
Yes, we did. Let's just put it this way: Ghost Machine, even though they're not in New York Comic Con this year, obviously they're still doing big things, and they are poised to have a strong end of 2025 and an even stronger 2026. So there's a lot of stuff in the works we can't really talk about right now, but Rook Exodus is back out on the shelves now, so if everybody needs to go pick that up by Jason Fabok. And then the rest of the line is coming, but there's a lot of big things on the way. I don't want to give anything away, but man, this is the perfect time if you haven't gotten the Ghost Machine, make a point and get familiar.
Geiger is returning, and also we were told to dispel first Ghost is happening.
Yes.
So if you appear to her first, we have seen art. We can't show you art, but we have seen art.
Yes.
It does exist. I know that there was some rumors that that the demise of First Ghost those were definitely greatly exaggerated.
Yes.
So I can tell you from four eyes that we got to see it. So
yes.
Thank you to them for trusting us with that. That brings me to the last thing we did before we left con proper, not the last thing we did connected to New York Comic Con. And that, of course, is we went over to our friends Headlocked and Masked Republic as they had a wrestling and comics panel featuring Michael Kingston.
Yep.
You've seen him on TaP before, friend of the show, author of Headlock, author of Vampiro, Rockabilly, Apocalypse. Also, we had the wonderful Shotzi Blackheart, former WWE superstar, and of course, WWE agent and former superstar and probably future Hall of Famer, the Hurricane, Shane Helms. And then Masked Republic had, Jeff Everett?
Yep, Jeff
was there, who is going to be the artist on a new book called Luchadors versus Everyone, which is kind of a cool history of luchadors going all the way back to when they used to do those crappy movies. There were beautiful movies at the same time. If you've never seen them, like Santos versus the Wolfman and Blue Demon, versus the Mummy, and they did Albert and Costello, and it was crazy stuff that they used to do back then. But going into it, we're always big fans of Headlocked and Masked Republic. What were your thoughts coming out of that panel? It was kind of fun.
It was a fun, nostalgic for me, like I say, here in the worlds of wrestling and comics could come together. And some of the stories and questions that were getting asked was a good throwback. Because I remember hearing about buying tapes of ECW back in the heyday. I mean, that was the thing about tape trading. If you're in the pro wrestling fandom, you know about that. But no, I think it's great. I mean, Michael Kingston has always done fantastic stuff. I think he's vastly underrated for what he does in the world of comics. He does wrestling comics better than everybody. I'm sorry, that's
facts.
That's not a lie. That is a spoiler, if you will. Yes. I'm trying to think of the Paul Heyman terminology, but
that is not a rumor. That is a spoiler.
Yes. Michael does a lot of great things. The Vampiro book, when it's been out, has been on point. It's been a Cheersy winner for a reason. And to see, like you say, he's one of the hardest working people in all the comics, so he's got more stuff coming down the road. And it was fun just seeing him interact with some of the wrestlers up there. I mean, Shotzi's doing amazing things on the Indies right now. Hurricane Helms is
King of the Indies.
Yep.
Put some respect on her name.
Is working in backstage for WWE right now. So it was a fun moment seeing the interaction of fandoms, because I say a lot of wrestling fans are there, but they're also comic fans. So when we see that happen, it's nothing but a big bucket of win.
And for those fans of wrestling comics, I will put it this way. We will be having Michael Kingston on probably in the near future. He's got a couple books in the works that they did talk about, like Shotzi Blackheart will be featured in A Christmas Story, a la The Grinch. Is all they would tell us. And then, of course, Friday Night Bigfoot, too. He said he's already scripting.
Yep.
So for those of you who tuned in when we did the interview for Friday Night Bigfoot, if you didn't, go back right here on YouTube and check out our interview with Michael Kingston about Friday Night Bigfoot. Trust me, you will not regret it. I'm not going to say anything else more than that, except for wrestling Bigfoot. That's it.
Yeah.
With that being said, though, that did not end our evening, Ken M.
No.
And hence why we're recording this late. You guys are seeing it early, probably. But how did we end our evening, Ken?
We went to the Invincible versus launch party. So shout out to everybody at Skybound and Invincible. They threw on a hell of a party to close down shop off-site. Unveiling the new fighting game, which is amazing. A lot of cool things that are happening there. Great atmosphere, great party. Shout out to Almega from Comics Crusaders. Loved bumping into him, and just nothing but high energy over there and top to bottom, like with all the other creators that were there too. Listen, if you want to end the party or end the night one of Comic-Con the right way, you ended that way. It was a phenomenal thing. I can't wait for fans to really pick this game up and get running with it. There's going to be a lot of things. Invincible has a big weekend lined up at New York Comic-Con with a big panel at the Empire Stage, I believe. So,
Yes.
you know, if you're going to be in attendance, it's one of the hottest tickets in town. So great momentum to lead into that panel.
Yeah, and I'll say this: the game kind of looks like Capcom versus Marvel meets Street Fighter meets Mortal Kombat.
It's amazing.
Like, it's an amazing looking game. It's really cool. You're gonna want to check it out. And of course, Skybound Entertainment has a huge weekend because we have the
Amazing
Energon
weekend,
panel coming up, and like you noted before, Invincible has a huge one on the Empire Stage coming up this weekend as well. So big weekend for our friends over at Skybound Entertainment. But overall, Ken M, I know we're going to be doing these recaps, you know, every day of the con. And of course, we're going to be doing the big show where we jump into way more details coming into for Turn a Page next week. But what was your biggest takeaway from day one of New York Comic Con?
The biggest takeaway, I'll do it in threes. One, DC Vertigo is back in a big way. That was the panel of the day. Two, the upsurge of digital comic commerce, I will say, from the digital stores to the direct selling of whatnot and such. It was very cool to see the presentations, I will say that. And then three, there's no room for AI in comics. And just the movement that happened and the reaction of fans loudly cheering when you heard the publishers and creators saying no AI.
Yeah, I like all three of what you said. I'm just going to kind of put a cherry on it for me. DC started off for the big companies, and they put the bar here.
Yeah.
So if Marvel wants to clear that, you know, obviously next big thing is coming up on Saturday. There's a few other panels that we're going to be talking about with Marvel. It's not like it's over, but also it's not over for DC yet either.
No.
But DC with the DC Vertigo panel set the bar high for everybody, including Image and everybody. So it looks like DC is trying to win Comic-Con again as far as the panel wars, if you will. And they started off good.
They started off good, but Marvel has got a few loaded ones tomorrow as we record the Friday panels. They got the X-Men. They got the Mass Appeal one going on too. I believe Marvel Fanfare is taking place as well. So
Yes.
they're really loading the deck there. DC is coming with their Gotham City one. Their big one is Saturday, though. That's the monster one with DCKO.
Well, think about it. This is a monster versus monster. DCKO versus Marvel next big thing on Saturday.
Yeah, not at the same time.
No,
though,
not
luckily.
at the same time.
Luckily.
We're going to be covering both of them.
However,
it's going to be amazing.
There is a tough call to be made on Saturday, but we'll get into that tomorrow because during the time of DCKO is the Energon Universe panel and Boom Studios 20th anniversary panel.
Everything's going down on Saturday.
It's a tough one to make a call, but we all win as fans.
Hey, listen, my other takeaway from today, super awesome stuff for fans.
Yep.
Every panel was fun. Going to like not a lot of news came out of, you know, the Speed Racer panel, but that's not what it was there for. It was a fandom thing. Same thing with Headlocked and Mass Republic. It was a lot of fan thing. A lot of people are there. A lot of people were happy. Very good interactions. I thought everybody crushed it across the board, and I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I think it's what it's all about. We had some good conversations with people. I had a great time, and not just industry people. We had great conversations with just fans that were there, having a great time, just talking about everybody's love for everything. We had great talks everywhere we went. So New York Comic Con is starting off in a big positive way. And you talked about tomorrow a little bit already, but I mean, tomorrow's loaded. We've got a huge busy day tomorrow. We're going to be back on tomorrow night talking about it. You can expect Exquisite Corpses, the game, has got a panel tomorrow that I know I'll be covering. TMNT.
IDW's got a big
IDW's big one for TMNT is tomorrow. That will definitely be something we're covering. We're covering, obviously, across the board. It's amazing. Gotham, DC's Gotham panel.
You just want to make sure that you're following Nerd Initiative on all social media and you subscribe to the YouTube channel because we are covering New York Comic Con like nobody else because we are the home of pop culture positivity and we are bringing to you the biggest event in pop culture this year.
That is right. And don't forget to follow us on all of those social medias, as Ken just noticed. And also, while you're at it, right here on the YouTube channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Click the bell icon for notifications so you know whenever we put up a new video or whenever a live video goes up. And last but not least, hit that thumbs up so the bosses know that you want more comic book content on the home of pop culture positivity on YouTube, the Nerd Initiative YouTube channel. And with that being said, this is our Night 1 recap. And until our Night 2 recap, Ken M, I think we're going to bid these fine folks adieu.
I'm out.
Oh, well, we could end it like we end Turn a Page every week.
When you're at New York Comic Con and you have a grayish in your hand that you bought down in Artist Alley because you went down to go see some of those fantastic creators, and you see somebody struggling to find something, hand yours off to them. Tell them to turn a page. We'll see you tomorrow.
Boom!
This program is powered by Fantasyverse, where manga, comics, and more collide. Check their website out, because it's not a dream. It's Fantasyverse. The content you've just watched is part of the Nerd Initiative Network. Make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to check out nerdinitiative.com, the home of pop culture positivity.